Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What I'd love to do today is go through a book entitled The Tech Wise Family, and it's a book that was authored by Andy Crouch and published on the 18th of April 2017. It's a book that's been around for almost a decade now, but a book that still is very, very relevant to the challenges and issues that are faced by most families who have young children and teenagers who are growing in a more heavily digitized world. And the author here talks about the impact of technology and how to make it the servant rather than being its servant. And he asks a very important question. What if the key to a thriving family isn't cutting out technology entirely, but learning to make it serve your values instead of stealing your connection? A very powerful and interesting question. And this book gave me a fresh lens on how technology has woven itself into every single corner of our lives. It's not about demonizing devices or trying to escape the digital world. It's about rethinking how we use technology to serve our family, not the other way around. So the first key point that comes from this author is where he says that technology makes life easier, but isn't always good. And it's important to acknowledge that. And Crouch points out that the constant convenience of screens can often rob us of deeper, more meaningful experiences. This hit me because I've noticed how much my family gravitates towards the path of least resistance, which is scrolling, binge watching, or playing games instead of gaining and engaging in more fulfilling activities. At the end of the day, the home should be a place where screens are servants and not our masters. This idea challenged me to set boundaries around how and when we use technology. For example, we've started having tech-free zones in the house, like the dining table, so we can focus on connecting as a family. It's a small change, but the conversations we had during meals feel richer already. Another point that is discussed and touched on in this book is that creativity should come before consumption. I didn't realize how much time families spend passively consuming content instead of creating something together or being authors of their own content. Crouch inspired me to flip the script. Now, instead of zoning out in front of a screen, we can be trying things like baking, drawing, or even just playing board games. It's not always easy to pull everyone in, but the moments of joy, those fleeting moments of joy, make it worth it. The other thing that the author says here, which is really powerful as well, is that it's okay to be bored. And this is a revelation, because most of us feel guilty where our kids or our grandkids are bored, and we would like to have them entertained or let them use their devices. But Crouch makes the case that boredom can actually spark creativity and resilience. Now, when they complain, I encourage them to find something meaningful to do instead of handing them a boring screen. The most valuable gift we can give our kids is a thing called presence. This one really hit home. I realised that it's not just my kids who struggle with screen addiction, it's me too. How many times have I half listened to a story while scrolling on my phone? This book made me rethink how I show up for my family and reminded me that being present is the most powerful way to lead by example. The author talks about Sabbath rest from technology, and it's really life-giving. One of Crouch's boldest suggestions is to regularly take a complete break from screens. At first, I thought it was impossible, but we tried it. A tech Sabbath on Sundays. I was surprised by how freeing it felt. The quiet, the slowness, the time to just be together. It felt like a reset button had been pressed in our family life. We also need to understand that boundaries aren't restrictions. They're actually pathways to freedom. Crouch argues that setting limits on technology isn't about controlling, it's about creating space for the things that truly matter. Things such as relationships, creativity, and one's faith. This shift in perspective made it easier to enforce rules because I stopped seeing them as punishments and started seeing them as gifts. Leading a tech-wise family starts with me and starts with you. This is the hardest pill to swallow. I can't expect my kids to develop healthy tech habits if I don't model them myself. So I've been working on putting my phone down more often, choosing to read instead of binge watch, and being more intentional about how I use my own screen time. So this book didn't just give me strategies and just won't give you simple strategies. It gave me hope. It's not about eliminating technology, but about using it in a way that strengthens our family instead of weakening it. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the role screens play in your home, this book, TechWise, The TechWise Family, offers a refreshing, practical roadmap. It reminded me that technology is a tool and not a tyrant. And with the right boundaries, we can all create homes where connections thrive over consumption.